Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, good morning and welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live like we do each and every morning. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Yes, and all of that is true. And the man on the other microphone, he likes to wear American flag underwear. We know him as
Yeah, it's your boy, Chris America, coming to you live this Tuesday, February the 12th. It is 2/12/19 Loudbeard, and I am in full-on chest cold mode. It is running rampant through the American household, and hopefully I can make it without coughing too much or sounding too nasally.
Okay. I'm glad you've prepared all of our listeners for what's in store for a little and a little here and there, you know? You turn your head and cough, Chris America.
Yes, turn and cough, just like my doctor says.
Yep, that's what your doctor says, and that's the best way to prescribe anything is just turn your head and cough, and be careful. As long as they don't explore too deep, you'll be okay. So moving on to...
Yeah, we're going to ball out on this episode.
Okay. Wow. That's really turn your head and coughing, isn't it?
I'm talking about basketball. What are you talking about?
Man, I'm talking about all kinds of balls. So you got football, golf, basketball, spring training, baseball. You've got it all on this episode of Scout Team Radio. We are straight up balling out.
We also have shuttlecocks.
You have shuttlecock. All right, so moving on, Chris America. We have talked way too much about balls this morning on our episode of Scout Team Radio, which can be heard on the 12-ounce Sports Radio.com network, and you can also hear us on the Barn Burner Network, and our podcast is available everywhere podcasts are available. But with all that being said, I want to start out with this Kyler Murray story that dropped yesterday. So Kyler Murray comes out, and he is all in for football. He's having to pay back his bonus to the Oakland Athletics. Chris America, do you love or do you hate this decision by Kyler Murray?
I love this decision because Kyler Murray loves this decision. We've talked about it a lot back when he was hemming and hawing, and I told Kyler Murray because I know he listens to the show. He's a big time listener, big time fan. He doesn't like to talk about it because he doesn't want to blow up our spot. But I think as I told him before, he needs to follow his heart, Loudbeard. Just follow your heart. Do what your passion says. You only live this life once. YOLO all the way. And you better live it doing something you love rather than something you hate. And it's not always about the money, Loudbeard.
Well, for him, it is about the money. He thinks he's going to make more money in football. It's not about following your heart. He's not following his heart, Chris America. I think you're getting a little too sentimental in your old age. I think that's the problem here. I'm looking at this as a dumb decision by Kyler Murray. I think that baseball, you're going to have a longer career. You're going to make more money in the long run. And football, I mean, the guy's like, 5'3"? I mean, how's he going to be a professional NFL quarterback at that height, Chris America?
So, I mean, how is that about the money then?
Hey, you're the one that... I'm just saying he made the decision on the money. He thinks that he can make more money if he's a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning or a top-tier quarterback, Cam Newton, if you will. If he can go in the league and be the number one guy and make more money getting drafted in the NFL than he will right now in baseball. And that's what he thinks, but he's wrong, Chris America. That's why I'm saying that this is a dumb decision, because I don't think he is following his heart. I think he is a misguided soul who is going to be eaten up and chewed up and spit out by the NFL, and he's going to pull the Tim Tebow on us, a Heisman-winning quarterback who doesn't quite make it in the NFL and has to come crawling back to Major League Baseball to get his shot to be a real professional.
I feel like you're a little upset. Like your little inner A's fan is coming out right now, and you're mad that he didn't take your team. Now let's look at, according to averages, the NFL is the second to last in American sports. You know what the last average salary is for major American sports leagues? What would your guess be?
You're going to say baseball, aren't you? You're going to say baseball.
No.
No,
the
go
NFL is
ahead.
second to last. The MLS, Major League Soccer. That's last place.
Oh,
Then you have
I
the
didn't know you were
NFL.
counting that.
Hey, man, it's a major American sports. Orlando City has the best franchise in all of MLS. Even though they're not so good at soccer, we still have the best franchise. But I digress. NFL, second to last, then NHL, MLB, and then NBA. Best average salary is in the NBA, which is actually kind of surprising.
Yeah, it is. But you're talking about average salaries. It's less guys. When you look at the NFL, there's 53 guys on the roster, and not all of those guys are getting paid quarterback money.
No, they're not.
When
They're
you're
not.
looking at average quarterbacks, I mean, Mike McGlinnan got a $15 million a year contract to be Mitch Trubisky's doorstop. You know, like, what is it that you expect out of – this is what he's saying. He's like, if Mike McGlinnan can get that kind of money, of course I'm going to go play in the NFL. Why would I not play in the NFL?
No,
But
you're
he's
definitely
wrong.
not wrong. You're definitely not wrong there, Loudbeard. And this is where you got to kind of fidget with the numbers because it's not just average salary of NFL players. Maybe we should look at the average salary of a quarterback compared to the average salary of an outfielder in Major League Baseball. I'm trying to look him up now, Loudbeard, but if I remember correctly, listening to Memphis Spence on his show, I believe he said that Bryce Harper, who's been in the league since 2010, 2011, so that's 9 years, has only made $52 million, where Cam Newton, I got to look up his contract. I believe he's somewhere around the, $100 million mark. And those two guys, I would say they've had equal careers. I would say maybe Bryce Harper is better at what he does than Cam Newton is, though Cam Newton is definitely great in his own right. So I think the trick in baseball is you have to stay in the league more than 10 years in order to get enormous.
Chris America, did I lose you, my friend? Wow. Chris America going out hot. Are you there? I think I hear you back.
Did I come out?
Yeah, I lost you for a second. I don't know if it was me
Okay, where
falling
did you
out or
lose me
you
at?
falling out. You said, hey, it's your boy Chris America coming at you hot.
Stop it.
Nah, I see where you're going with that, man.
That old trick only works on the Golden Ghost, who is still Ghost. And the Barn Burner fans are like, why do they keep talking about this third guy? I know I hear a third voice in the intro, but I've never seen or heard of this guy yet.
We just basically paid him off just to do our intro, and that was it. And he's never been back since. But that's okay. We're doing all right, just the two of us. All right,
Just
so
the two of us.
we can make it if we
Little
try.
Will Smith action.
Everybody loves Will Smith. I mean, he's going to be the best genie ever in the Aladdin series, so why not
did you
play
see
him this
him?
morning? Yeah, weird, right?
All right, let's not go
Okay.
down that rabbit hole.
Digress.
But I think
We
people,
digress.
I think people overreacted to that. All right.
Yeah, they did.
Back to
He'll
what I
be
said.
all right. He'll be all right. Okay, so what you're talking about here with Kyler Murray and the average, when you're talking about Harper and Cam Newton and you're comparing salaries, which that's a great comparison. First of all, having a 9 to 10 year career in the NFL as a quarterback, as a starting quarterback, Kyler Murray's got to go in and win a job and maintain it. There's a lot of number one quarterbacks that go in and don't maintain those jobs, and he'll be out of the league quickly because it's not as easy as some would say. Where in Major League Baseball, it's a development process. They don't start guys out. They don't get drafted and just throw them in. Everybody goes through the minor leagues. And when you get to the point when you get into the bigs, then you got to perform for a couple years, and then you get that big payday. So I see where you're saying you have to have that longevity in a career in baseball. And in football, it's all now. Kyler Murray could be the starting quarterback of whatever team drafts him week 1 of next season. And maybe that's more of what he wants is the big fame, the starting right away. He's not in it for this process that Major League Baseball wants. Now, the Oakland Athletics, they said they're not done in this pursuit. They have an opportunity after he gets drafted to sign him, re-give him his bonus back, and then offer him a larger contract than what the NFL is going to offer him. I don't know if they will actually pull the trigger on that because that could be some big money. But the Athletics, they're not playing around. They're not giving up on Kyler Murray. And go for it, man. Oakland baseball, don't let NFL push you around. Go for it, man. Go all in. Back up the money truck. Pay this man. Try to get him back to baseball. I just don't know that his career in the NFL is going to be successful. I hate to look at measurables, but his height is going to be a little bit of a challenge. He's a scrambling quarterback, and he's a little bit smaller. It just seems like injuries could creep up and be a problem. I think baseball would be the smarter move for him, but hey, I'm just going to leave it there. Put that right there for you, Chris America.
Well, I want to know, how much does Kyler Murray love football? Does he just love playing quarterback? Because if I'm an NFL team and I'm talking to him, I can say, yeah, we'll try to groom you up as a quarterback. But how do you feel about being the next Julian Edelman? And I think if you remove Julian Edelman this year and put him in that Patriots offense as the Julian Edelman role, he would destroy it. Because how many times in the Super Bowl did we see Julian Edelman wide open? And then not that Julian Edelman's slow, but there weren't any times where he was wide open, caught the ball, and then made a couple of moves and outran the rest of the defense to the end zone. He got tracked down pretty easily by the Rams defense once he caught the football. I mean, he got like 16 to 25 yards, but imagine Kyler Murray getting the ball in that kind of space that Julian Edelman had during the Super Bowl. He would have extended at least 2 of those plays 20 to 30 yards more than what Julian Edelman got.
Now, he goes in as a quarterback, man. I understand the switch in positions. You sound like the GM that's like, Tim Tebow, you'd be a better tight end or a fullback. No, I mean, these guys are quarterbacks. That's what they want to play. He's not picking football to be a wide receiver. Yeah, Kent State. Do you think he was a Heisman Trophy candidate?
So was Terrell Pryor.
And he wasn't good at either. So this is where we're going, Chris America. We can go all day on this.
You're hating on his height.
Yeah. I am.
So what do you want? You want him to just go in and fail at quarterback? You're hemming and hawing on how good of a quarterback he could be, and now you know you can make a great wide receiver.
Oh, because you said he could? That doesn't mean he could. First of all, Julian Edelman is a great wide receiver, and yes, he did play quarterback at Kent State or whatever. I don't care about that. He is Julian Edelman. Kyler Murray is not Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman is a different kind of beast. He has been a great wide receiver. He's had Tom Brady thrown to him. I see what you're saying. Kyler Murray could make more moves and could get down the field and get more yards. Yeah, this is a hypothetical world we're living in. This is a world of mystery.
No, it's not hypothetical. It's not hypothetical.
It's like you've gotten the genie out of the bottle. Will Smith has come up and you're like, I'd like to grant a wish. Turn you into a wide receiver. You'll be as good as Julian Edelman, who leads the world in postseason yards. Okay, sure.
Well, not the world, not Jerry Rice. But now, I think the only difference is can Kyler Murray
catch? We're not going to put him on that same pedestal as Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is the GOAT.
You're right. Can Kyler Murray catch? We don't know that. Can Kyler Murray run
He plays
a
baseball.
route
Of course he can catch. He can play every position out there. He can catch a fly ball. He can tag up. He can run. He's a great outfielder. Yes, he's great catching the ball. Good comparison, Chris America. You agree with me. I thank you.
You don't get a baseball glove when you play wide receiver.
He might need one. That's what will make him comfortable.
And can he run routes? I don't know that yet. Now, that's one of Julian Edelman's. No. He's an elite route runner. That's what makes him so wide open. But then maybe Kyler Murray can be a little less on the route running because his athleticism is through the roof compared to what Julian Edelman has. That is not hypothetical. We know that Kyler Murray is an athletic specimen that I'm not going to say we've never seen before, but at the quarterback position, we haven't seen since maybe Michael Vick. We haven't seen a guy that athletic since Michael Vick at the quarterback position. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of hope he stays in the draft. he stays with the NFL just so we can see the first guy ever drafted first round in MLB and first round in the NFL.
All right, Chris America. You just keep wanting to talk about football. I do want to kind of segue over. We talked about Harper being this comparison. Now, spring training started yesterday. The Oakland Athletics reported for spring training, and a lot of these teams are going to be reporting this week. And the two biggest free agents are still not signed. You got Manny Machado, you've got Bryce Harper, and, these guys, they're worth a lot. But I just want to throw out a tweet here. Our good friend Scotty Kaiser from Craft Brewed Sports had retweeted this, and it's Justin Verlander's tweet. And I was looking at this, and this, to me, is the perfect. It's absolutely the perfect tweet to get this segue or this segment started. 100 or so free agents left unsigned. The system is broken. They blame rebuilding, but that's BS. You're telling me you couldn't sign Bryce or Manny for 10 years and go from there? Seems like a good place to start a rebuild to me. 26 to 36 is a great performance window, too. Justin Verlander coming in hot. The system is broken. Chris America, why are these guys not signed yet?
Well, Loudbeard, I think we talked about it way back when the Washington Nationals sent Bryce Harper an offer. Bryce Harper could be signed by now if he signed that Washington Nationals offer, but Bryce Harper wanted to test the free market, and the free market is saying that whatever Bryce Harper wants, he's not going to get. And now it feels like Major League Baseball GMs and owners are on one side and Bryce Harper is on another, and they're in a battle of stubbornness. I don't think the 10-year, $300 million or $300+ million contracts are going to happen anymore. I think that bubble has burst. Do you remember in 2008, Loudbeard, when the housing market bubble burst?
I remember, yes.
Well, what happened is we kept paying more and more for houses, and people kept flipping houses, and houses got so outrageously overpriced that people buying said, man, well, I'm not going to spend this much money on this house. Well, it's kind of happened in baseball. We've been watching it progress over the last 10, 15 years. These contracts just keep getting more and more inflated. It started at $200 million, and we couldn't believe it. Then $250 million, and we couldn't believe it. Now we have these $300 million contracts out there, and then we look at the production of these players, the Alex Rodriguez's, the Albert Pujols. I mean, Mike Trout, does he have I can't remember if Mike Trout has a big contract, but if he does, I mean, he's on the team. He's doing great for the team, but are the Anaheim Angels doing anything good since they've signed him to this contract?
Yeah, but is Mike Trout the problem? No, it's the Pujols contract. The Pujols contract is the one because Trout is performing. You could pay that guy $1 million a game, and he'd be worth it because he's out there performing. The problem is, on a 10-year contract on an Albert Pujols, is he didn't perform up to that value, and that's why the Angels are stuck. That, and they have a ton of injuries every year, but they haven't done anything. You're right. You're absolutely right. They have done nothing.
So I just look. Trout is on a 6-year, $144 million contract, and to me, that's actually a really good contract. I like that contract, especially since it started out low and now it's ending up high. He'll end up with $34 million this year and next year. It started out with like $16 million, and then it climbed up the ladder. And you're right. It is the two together, the Pujols and the Mike Trout contract. Maybe the Anaheim Angels could do more without one or the other, and maybe guys like the Cubs and the Boston Red Sox, who the Boston Red Sox are paying Bryce Harper, or sorry, not Bryce Harper, but Price. They're paying him over $30 million. So you add in another $30 million contract, they're tied up like the Angels are. You look at the Yankees; they have a Mike Judge contract they got to worry about in 3 to 4 years, and
the
then
guy
they
that
have
did Beavis and Butthead.
Do what?
I said the guy that created Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, Aaron Judge. Sorry.
I'd pay Mike Judge, man.
Good
He's
catch.
worth every
Oh,
penny. Dude,
man.
that guy's
Mike,
funny. Funny.
I
as
would
heck.
pay him 10 years, $300 million to bring back Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. I was a fan of both. Yeah, so
I derailed you easily on that one.
you did.
Boom.
Aaron Judge, and
Whoop's
now I can't even think about the other guy.
Giancarlo Stanton's got
Giancarlo
the huge
Stanton.
contract.
Now I'm just
Aaron
thinking about
Judge is
Beavis
on a
and
deal
Butthead.
right now. He's on an
Huh?
easy deal. Aaron
No,
Judge
he's
is on
a-
that cheap deal.
Aaron Judge is on the cheap deal, and maybe that's what Kyler Murray also looked at. He's like, I see what Aaron Judge is cracking out home runs. He's one of the top players in baseball, and he's getting paid, $500,000 or $600,000, whatever the Yankees are paying him, and he's stuck in that contract for the next 3 or 4 years. But yeah, so you look at that, and I don't know that baseball wants to pay these contracts anymore. I think they see what the Houston Astros did, what the Kansas City Royals did. Now, their success didn't last long, but they won World Series by just drafting and building
goal.
through the draft, and that's the goal of every team.
Yeah, I think that the problem is, and this is what kind of Verlander alluded to, is we keep talking about these rebuilding teams. So these teams that are trying to build through the draft, that have young cores that they want to develop, they don't want to go out and just buy a free agent. They want to just keep developing their team, and they don't want to overspend and waste all this money on somebody that's not going to be enough to put them over the top. So all of a sudden you've got these 20 or so teams, especially the smaller market, the Tampa Bay Rays. They're not going to go out and spend the money to get a Bryce Harper. The Marlins, they're in a selling mode. They're not buying a bunch of players. So you've got a lot of these markets that just aren't out there to get these big-name free agents. And the markets that are getting the big-name free agents, those guys have been burned in the past by overpaying. So now they're kind of a little bit gun-shy, and they're sitting back, and they're just waiting to see what develops. Earlier in this process, I remember the rumor coming out there was an offer for a 7-year, $175 million contract for Machado. To me, that's a fair deal. 7 years is a good amount of time. $175 million is a big chunk of change, but these guys, I believe, want that $300 million 10-year contract, and I think that's where the stalemate is. Now, who's going to bend and break first? Because do you want to go into the season as an unrestricted free agent and not be on a team? Or are you going to finally cave and accept one of these terrible, huge offers for $175 million? Or are you just going to try to do a 1-year deal and then wait for next year? So this is where it's gotten kind of interesting. But, I mean, this is absurd. I have never, ever seen a free agent class like this go this long without being signed. This is a new one for Major League Baseball.
So I'm looking back, and back in January 4th, 2019, Jim Bowden, he reported that the Nationals' last offer to Bryce Harper was actually much more than the $300 million being reported to the media. The 10-year, $300 million offer was actually the team's first offer. So it's not like teams are being cheap with Bryce Harper. I think we had talked about that Bryce Harper wanted to be a $400 million man back when the baseball season was kind of going on, or right after the baseball season started. And guess what, guys? The housing market bubble burst. Like, there has to be a limit that the buyer's willing to buy. And maybe this is on Harper and this is on Machado for thinking that they're going to get this much. And teams are saying, I mean, we like you, we love you. I mean, we're giving you a ridiculously good offer, but we're not going to give you what you want because we can go out and build a team like we mentioned. Like, look at the Atlanta Braves right now. The Atlanta Braves are probably going to be one of the top teams in the next year or two. Like this season or the following season, they've been building that team up right, and it's going to be far cheaper than what the Nationals have been doing, especially if they add Harper for 10 years, $300 million. Now, I know that Bryce Harper is 26, Loudbeard, but 10 years is a long time, and $300 million is a lot of money that is guaranteed that you have to pay off, that Bryce Harper can go out and get ridiculously injured next year, and they still owe him $300 million. 5 years from now, Bryce Harper can say, you know what, I'm not really into this baseball thing anymore. I mean, I'll still play because I have to show up to work, but I just, I want to do basket weaving and have my own cooking show on the Cooking Network. And he's going to go out and just kind of aloof it out there, and you still owe him $200 or $150 million for the next 5 years.
It's a gamble that a team would have to make on this guy, and apparently right now nobody's willing to make that huge commitment. Now, if that story that was reported is correct, I mean, that means that offer is probably still on the table, and maybe that's why they're waiting. They're saying, okay, well, we got a $300 million 10-year contract, but to me, I feel like the 10-year contracts are just obsolete. Like you're saying, why would you do this? Because 10 years is such a long time. And I do think Albert Pujols, he ruined it for the rest of the free agents because he was such a great player and he has so underperformed his huge contract. It's an albatross of a contract over with the Angels, and now other free agents are going to be hurt from that. So there's a reluctancy. If the money was so great right there, Harper would have already signed. And I would say now that it's getting closer to spring training, or that spring training has actually started, you do not want this to leak over into spring training. I think this deal needs to get done, and it needs to get done ASAP. And I think Bryce Harper needs to look at his options and make a decision. Now, is he waiting for Machado and Machado's waiting for him? Is it the old Spider-Man gif where they're standing there staring at each other, pointing at each other? I don't know, Chris America, but something's got to happen here, and it's got to happen quick. And I'm curious to see what the money actually is. Are the rumors true, or are these baseball teams actually lowballing these guys? And if they are, I mean, kudos to them because they're standing their ground. They're not getting suckered into these overpriced contracts, which, I mean, we're all for the players getting paid, but $300 million, that's where I'm like, okay, you're getting paid enough. That's that point where it's like, okay, $175 million, to me, that's still plenty of money. Like, you guys are good. Like, good.
And I wouldn't mind paying over that if signing one baseball player to $40 million wins you a championship. But we can't really say that that's the case. Like we mentioned the Boston Red Sox with Price. The Red Sox were really lucky that Price finally figured it out in the playoffs in the World Series and became the shutdown pitcher that we know him to be. But the Red Sox didn't get to that point, and if they decided to bench Price and put somebody else in, I still think that team was so good they would have won the World Series without Price. Price didn't set them over the edge. It's not like in basketball where one player can take you from, like, let's say the Lakers, a lottery team, getting the number 2 pick, to an 8th seed or a 7th seed with LeBron James, and then you add in one more player, and they're all of a sudden a top 4 seed in the playoffs that can actually make a run at the championship. Baseball doesn't work like that, man. It's a 40-man roster, a 35-man roster, and every single player has their position, and they do attribute a lot, but when you're only batting once every, 4 innings, and you get the ball hit your way, once every 2 innings, I mean, it's hard to say that you contribute so much more to wins and losses. Now, I know there's wars and wins above record or whatever that stat is in baseball. The WAR. But I don't know, man. Like, when I look at baseball players, I'd much rather my team be built like the Houston Astros or the Kansas City Royals than I would, say, the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees have been trying this whole let's just throw money at our roster for the last 20 years. And since 2000, since their last three-peat, they've had 1 championship.
Well, at least they got one. I mean, it's better than nothing. I mean, I'm with you.
But so does Kansas City. Kansas City has 1, you know?
And that's why people were trying to follow the Kansas City, the Houston Astros, that blueprint. That's what they want to follow. Now, the paying the players, the getting the big-time names, I mean, I guess that's what the Cubs kind of did, the Yankees, the Red Sox. It worked for the Red Sox this past year. But some of these other clubs just don't want to spend that money, and that's what we're seeing.
But Labbeard, I'll make one more point that kind of goes against Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, and that's the fact that there's probably, would you say there's 5 teams in 5 markets that can afford these types of contracts? I would say the Chicago
That's
Cubs.
a reasonable number. Let's say between 5 and 10 tops.
All right. Well, yeah. So you got the Cubs, maybe the White Sox. You got the Yankees and the Red Sox, and then you have the Dodgers, right? I'm trying to think of who else.
Well, Phillies and Nationals probably would be in there.
Yeah. So when you're limited to the number of teams, and then we know the Red Sox already have such a ridiculously high payroll. We know that the Yankees have one as well, and they still have Mike Judge and Aaron Judge. I think they're going to be a dual signing there, Loudbeard. I think we're going to bring Beavis and Butthead back, and they're going to be like the bat boys for the Yankees when Aaron Judge signs that new contract.
When Mike Judge gets all that money, he can do Office Space too.
Oh, that would be so sweet.
Oh, I can't wait.
All right, so and then you have the Dodgers. So when you're limited to how many teams are actually willing to spend that much money, now you've made it a lot harder on yourself to get that kind of contract.
Yeah.
Let's just say the Tampa Bay Rays or the Milwaukee Brewers are not, or the Minnesota Twins. They're not going to throw that kind of money at a player. They don't have that kind of money.
No, they are not. Well, Chris America, we're almost up against the commercial break. I'm going to do this new segment I call 15 Seconds of Golf. Phil Mickelson wins at Pebble Beach yesterday, his 44th PGA victory of his career. It's amazing. Go lefty. And that was your golf update. 15 Seconds with Loudbeard.
Left-handers unite.
Woo! All right, so after the commercial break, Chris America, we're going to have some fun talking some NBA record breakers out there from last night. And the Cleveland Browns, did they do anything yesterday that was noteworthy?
We're going to be like a youth group burning Satan albums like Metallica and Pantera, breaking records.
That was a little premature. Sorry. That's what she said.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America. Oh, hey guys, it's Chris America, the gangster of love with Scout Team Radio. Now here are some do's and don'ts for Valentine's Day. Do tell your girl she looks beautiful. It's easy, guys. All you have to do is say it and mean it with a smile on your face. Trust me, she'll love it. Don't answer this question. Does this make me look fat? Listen to my man Admiral Akbar when he says it's a trap. Do open her car door for her. Don't do it by sitting in the driver's seat, reaching across the passenger side to open it up. Come on, man. Do talk about your fantasy baseball team. I was in the grocery store the other day, and I saw a Cosmo magazine or something, and it said to talk about your fantasies. And I felt like this meant fantasy baseball since spring training is right around the corner. Don't think that your server is flirting with you and flirt back. Trust me, guys, she's not. While you're at the restaurant, however, do ask your girl to marry you. After all, it's Valentine's Day, and this seems like as good of a time as any. Plus, the restaurant will probably give you a free bottle of champagne or something. Now, if you do ask her to marry you, don't, and I mean don't, pick out a wedding date on a Saturday or Sunday between September and early February. Seriously, not cool, man. Not cool. Bonus don't ask a girl to marry you if you're on your third date and you swiped right on her Tinder profile 3 weeks ago. And my final do listen to Scout Team Radio every weekday from 6 to 7 a.m. on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. Have a great day, guys.
Wow, I'm feeling pretty lucky to get those love tips from Chris America. I want to thank all the listeners for listening in. Once again, we are Scout Team Radio coming to you hot and live every Monday through Friday, weekdays 6 a.m. and replay on at 11 a.m. on 12-ounce Sports Radio. We have also partnered with the Barn Burner Network. We're proud to be part of that podcast network. We do have a podcast we record each and every episode. We drop it daily after the live show. You can catch that at scoutteamradio.com or anywhere you can find a podcast, including Apple Podcasts, where you should rate, review us, subscribe to us, and do all that great stuff. We also like to get interactive on Twitter. If you're looking at maybe throwing out an idea, or if Chris America said something that really annoyed you, make sure you hit us up at Scout Team Radio. Tell us what is bothering you. Tell us what you want to talk about. We will talk about your topics on the air. It's a great time. Make sure you hit us up at Scout Team Radio on Twitter. Chris America.
Yes.
Man, I'm just telling you right now that your love tips right now are they're
Yes.
straight fire.
Hopefully,
Straight fire.
Hopefully,
Keep those
bust
things
out.
going.
Yeah, make sure when we hit the commercial break, get out your notepad, your pen, start writing these things down, man. I'm a love aficionado, the gangster of love, as some call me.
I call you Maurice.
I know, it's weird. I still don't understand why.
You know who else I call Maurice?
Who's that?
Nobody, but just you. It's really a singular thing, so you should be very proud. Another guy I like to talk to and talk about a lot is Kareem Hunt, because he's a good longtime listener, big fan of the show. And
Yeah.
he was in the news yesterday, Chris America. Do you want to tell our listeners
He
all about
was.
this?
Well, Loudbeard, if I would have given you $100 and you were to place a bet, who would be signed first, Bryce Harper or Kareem Hunt? Where would you place that money?
Not on Kareem Hunt. That's
Nope.
for sure. Easy money.
But somehow the NFL has signed Kareem Hunt before Major League Baseball has figured out how to sign Bryce Harper. He signed on the Cleveland Browns yesterday, and honestly, everybody else is surprised, but I'm not.
Now, we know that the suspensions haven't been brought out yet, and we're not really sure where that's at. Browns aren't taking a whole lot of risk here because it's like a league minimum, $1 million for a veteran minimum, 1 year. So it's not a big deal there. But do you like this signing, Chris America? I know you're not surprised, but do you like it?
I'll like it when Kareem Hunt does the apology tour. I know he's currently doing some counseling and everything else. And I'd even mentioned that when we talked about when this news broke that he, the video came out and we reacted to it. And I said, look, what he did was awful. It was bad. It was inexcusable. And he absolutely deserved to be cut from the team. He absolutely deserved to be put on the exemption list. Everything that came to him and everything. But I said it wasn't, I want to word this correctly. It wasn't to the point where it was unforgivable, to where he can't redeem himself, or that I felt like he can't become a better person, become a better man, figure out why he did what he did that night, figure out why he reacted that way, figure out what he can do to help himself to become a better man, like I've already said, and come back and contribute to the NFL and contribute to life and contribute to society. I don't think he deserved some sort of like career death penalty to where he should never play again. And I think a lot of people are reacting that way, and understandably so, because what he did was inexcusable. And I don't know, Loudbeard, it's a tough thing to say, like, does he deserve to be back? When does he deserve to come back? Is this too soon? Is this too early? If the commissioner comes out and hands him a year-long suspension, then obviously I hate the signing because it's a year-long contract, and now I don't know how the contract's written up, and now the Cleveland Browns have to pay Kareem Hunt money and take up cap space for a guy that's not going to see the field. But if the commissioner says it's a 4-game suspension or a 6-game suspension, the NFL, the football, the stat side of me says that it's probably worth it.
Okay, that's your opinion there. I'm gonna say I hate this signing, and I'm gonna not say because the Cleveland Browns don't need the help. I think if I was a Cleveland Browns fan, if I know this guy's going to contribute, I'd be excited about it. But I hate the signing because it perpetuates the point that talent trumps whatever else happens in the world. In the NFL, no matter what you do, unless it's murder, it seems like these guys are getting second chances. Now, Ray Rice...
Even then, the NFL's like, what kind of murder are we talking? Like, who did we kill?
Right.
Like,
and you're right. Like, who is it that got murdered? Well,
Like is it like a guy with a suspectable past? Like maybe he was like in a gang and I mean maybe he's a bad guy. Like are you pulling a Dexter on us here? Because you can still play if you're pulling a Dexter.
Yeah, the league would spin it that way, or at least the media would. This is my problem, Chris America, is because we just want to see this talent on the field so bad that we don't care what they do. And to me, it's a bad look for the NFL. The NFL has got a lot of new competition out there. The Alliance, XFL, the Freedom Football League. And I don't think any of these teams or leagues will ever overtake the NFL. But the NFL's got to be careful. They've got to really watch their steps.
Loudbeard, I think we should probably announce there is going to be a Scout Team Football League as well.
Woo!
So
starring
they
Ric Flair as the coach instead of Steve Spurrier. Yes.
They got to compete with that too. Woo! Oh man, I'm gonna have Hacksaw Jim Duggan as his assistant coach. He'll be the get back coach.
Oh, I'm gonna put him as the offensive line coach. There's always like an animated crazy
true.
offensive line coach. Hacksaw would be the perfect offensive line coach. Well, we digress a little bit here, Chris America. My point is
Loudbeard,
yes.
You're the commissioner. How long?
You can call me Commish.
Commish. All right, Commish Beard. Commish Loudbeard. How
Commish
long
Beard. Yeah.
should
Sure.
Kareem Hunt
Mister.
stay out of the NFL then?
Okay, so I am a guy that does like second chances, but to me the NFL they got to do something. To me it's got to be a year-long suspension. It's got to be a year-long suspension. That to me is the minimum in this case. And the reason for
is that a calendar year or a football year?
Season. One season.
One season.
16 games. Now,
so he's already said
I would
what,
not retroactive
5 or 6, right? Oh, so you wouldn't retroactive. So whatever happened last season, that's last season, doesn't count towards the punishment coming soon.
Yeah, no, I think
okay, I got it.
This whole season he's suspended, and then at that point, whatever happens. But I think they need to take a stance. This is Roger Goodell. He's going to be put under pressure on this one. They were under a lot of scrutiny under the Ray Rice situation, and I don't think they can mess around with this. I think this is going to be a publicity nightmare for both Cleveland and the NFL if the suspension does not get taken care of correctly. Now, I could easily see them doing like a 4-game suspension or something like that, but do you think if they just did a 4-game suspension that people would be up in arms? Or if it was a 6-game or 8-game suspension, but they made it retroactive and he's ends up being out there on the field week 4 or week 5, do you think that's going to be acceptable in society, the way we are with social media and the way that this woman abuse is being kind of brushed under the rug? Do you think that's okay, Chris America?
I don't know, because Michael Vick went to prison for what, a year, 2 years? I don't know how long. He served out a prison sentence. He was out of the NFL for 3 or 4 years, came back, and even then people were up in arms when the Philadelphia Eagles signed him. And I felt like he did everything he needed to do to pay his debt to society. Maybe people felt like he should have paid more, but that's on the court system to decide, not the NFL. I don't think there's going to be any answer that appeases either side, Loudbeard. I think you're going to have those like Anthony Mack, our co-host. He felt like he shouldn't have even been cut from the team. He looked at this. He said he didn't really hit her that hard. She was just as much of an aggressor. All of them, I guess, are valid points, and everybody has their right to feel that way, those who do. And then there's guys like you and I, Loudbeard, who thought, man, it's just a bad look for the NFL. You can't go around just having arguments with women, and when they get in your face, you decide that you want to fight them, especially if you're going to do it on camera. It's sad to say that, Loudbeard, but that's how we are. If I tell you there's a 10-car pileup with 10 people dead, you'd feel one way about it. But if I went to the car accident scene and I videotaped it for you and you saw the bodies mangled all over the place and I showed you that video, you would have a stronger feeling towards that same incident. And that's just how we are as human beings. So,
and I have a weak stomach. That would don't do that.
Oh yeah, don't want that. So, I'm with you, Loudbeard. If it's a year-long suspension, a season-long suspension like you're talking about, I would be okay with that. I'd be okay with him coming back. I think more people would be okay with it. You're still gonna have people who think, no, the second he pushed that lady, he's done. His life is over. We need to throw the book at him. And I'm not on that. I'm not in that camp. I think like you said, everybody has second chances. Everybody deserves second chances, and Kareem Hunt should get that second chance, especially if he comes back and says, "Look, man, I've done a full year of counseling. I'm a changed man." He takes the Ray Rice route. He comes out sounding like Ray Rice does. If a team signed Ray Rice today, I would love it. I would say Ray Rice deserves it because he's changed. He's made himself a better person. He's made himself a better husband and all that other stuff, Loudbeard. But if you're done with all your points and everything, I'm ready to talk some NBA.
All right, let's get some balling going, Chris America. We're straight balling today, and
I'm ready to break some Metallica records and some Pantera and Slayer records, man. I'm ready to rid ourselves of the devil. And you said there was some record breaking going on in the NBA. I'm ready to do it.
Chris America, it's not those kind of records. I don't know why you always take these things so literally.
It's just
what am I
going
to do with
sarcastic a-hole that I am.
Ain't that the truth? So there was some records being broken last night. Notably, Russell Westbrook, the triple-double king, breaks another triple-double record. He became the first player a couple years ago to average a triple-double in a season, but he breaks Wilt Chamberlain's record with his 10th straight triple-double, and he goes off last night. He's got 21 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. The Oklahoma City Thunder win 120-111. They improve their record to 37-17, third seed in the East. And man, this team is lightning in a bottle right now. Russell Westbrook playing out of his mind. He's had a rough shooting year, but he's been deferring more to his teammates, and Paul George has been picking up that slack. So Russell Westbrook breaks that record. But Chris America, each and every year, I like to declare a team in the West that I think could take out the Golden State Warriors. Not because I don't believe that the Golden State Warriors will win the championship, but I'm tired of them winning the championship. And I'm just putting it down right now that I'm all in on Oklahoma City being that team that makes it to the Western Conference Finals. I feel like they're going to push their way up. They're going to get past Denver, take that 2 seed, finish the year out, number 2, right behind Golden State. And in the Western Conference Finals this year, there is going to be an upset. I'm declaring it. Oklahoma City takes out Golden State in the Western Conference Finals. This is my declaration. And so it shall be written, so it shall be said.
So it shall be done, Loudbeard. Let's see it happen, man. I'm here for it. A lot of people don't like Russell Westbrook. I like the guy. I think he's entertaining. We need the NBA. The NBA needs a guy like him to win the championship. They need their superstars winning titles. They need James Harden with a title. They need Russell Westbrook with a title. When you just have 1 or 2 players sucking up all of the championships for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, then it's bad for the rest of the league because people look at what Russell Westbrook, and what do we always say? Oh, yeah, he's got good stats, but he can't win a title, so he must not be that great. Oh, yeah, James Harden, just a stat patter, but no championship, so I'm going to discredit his whole entire career. And we become dumb like that, Loudbeard. So I'm here for it, and if Gator legend Billy Donovan wins an NBA title, that would be fantastic, too. I'm here for that as well. Big-time Billy Donovan fan.
And I just want to throw this out there. If this happens, where Golden State and Oklahoma City end up in the Western Conference Finals facing off against each other, Russell Westbrook, being the fierce competitor that he is, going up against his former teammate Kevin Durant, he would be out for blood. I'm telling you that right now. Kevin Durant is too weak-minded to handle all of what Russell Westbrook would be bringing. He would be in pieces against his former team. Oklahoma City would be all over Kevin Durant. It would be such a hostile environment going into play in Oklahoma City. I think that would mess with his psyche. I think Kevin Durant would be shaken, or stirred, or whatever he would be. But this is going to be. This is what I want to see. This is what I want in the Western Conference side. I want to see Russell Westbrook take out Kevin Durant. I don't know why, but I would get so much pleasure in that, Chris America. So much.
So what you're saying is if the Western Conference Finals was a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, it would be titled Western Conference Finals, Out for Blood.
Yes. Yes, it would. Now, in the West, there are other teams out there that are pretty good. I got to move on because we only got a few minutes left here. But
I do want to say, I would say that Jean-Claude Van Damme would be the perfect actor to play Russell Westbrook in his biography.
Okay.
They're practically
Who would
the same
Kevin
person.
Durant be played by? Chuck Norris?
No, Kevin Durant would be played by Weird Al Yankovic.
Okay. This is a weird documentary. I may want to watch that sometime. James Harden? He is also continuing to break his own record each and every night as he extends his 30-point streak to 30 games in a row, Chris America. Last night he's playing the Mavericks. Houston stomps the Mavericks. And on a last-minute three-pointer, James Harden gets to that 30-point mark, and he continues that amazing streak.
And and that's why I said the NBA needs these guys to win titles, because these are amazing streaks, and I hate hearing all of the talking heads, all the people on Twitter, all of NBA fans discrediting what's going on right now with Russell Westbrook and with James Harden because they don't win championships. You need more than just James Harden and Russell Westbrook to win championships. If those three would have stayed on the team with Oklahoma City, they would have the titles that we're desperately wanting them to have. But because they got broken up and they're not, they don't have the titles yet. And, man, it should not be discredited what this 30-game streak is. That is a phenomenal record, and it's one that maybe we'll see again, but it's going to be a while before we see it.
Yeah, this is a crazy record because when you think of all the great scorers between Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain and these guys that were just unstoppable forces. And Steph Curry. Yes.
Playing in the same exact league that James Harden is playing in. I would say that Steph Curry is a far better shooter than James Harden, but even Steph Curry hasn't had a streak like this.
It's an incredible streak as we continue. There's another streak right now that is incredible, Chris America. This is one that I can't not bring it up. I'm telling you right now. Last night there was a huge battle out there. You mentioned wins above replacement in baseball. This was a war last night. I felt like it was one giant tank against another giant tank. The New York Knicks went up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and one tank had to come out alive, and that was the New York Knicks as they extend their losing streak to 17 games in a row, a franchise record as the Cavaliers barely squeak out a win and fall further back in the Zion Williamson lottery that all these tanking teams are going for right now. And the Knicks are tanking better than any other team that can tank in the NBA with their 17th straight loss.
Man, it should be applauded how good they are at tanking. I mean, this is by far the best tank job we've ever seen. And kudos to the Knicks. And then watch them not get the number 1 overall pick. No, they probably will. The NBA just needs to accept that tanking's a thing, right?
Yeah, they do.
There's nothing you can do to stop it. I really think they should get rid of the lottery and go back to just what the NFL does. I think you'd have less teams tanking if that were the case, because you see teams midway through the season when they realize they're not going to make the playoffs, they start to tank just so they can get more lottery balls. But I digress, Loudbeard. Loudbeard, we missed a tweet coming in.
All right, tell me
I want to
about
make sure we get it out. It's back on the murder conversation. People love murder, Loudbeard. True crime podcasts are probably the hottest thing going on right now, and I've thought about switching Scout Team Radio over to True Crime Radio, see if we can get that going, because we would probably get more numbers. But Mike Verlon from Craft Brewed Sports, they are also a sister show of Scout Team Radio here on the 12-Ounce Sports Radio Network. They're on Thursdays at 8:30. He says murder gets you a ring, a Hall of Fame jacket, and a job at ESPN afterwards. Ray Lewis.
That's a heck of a tweet right there. All of
I
that
guess,
is true.
I guess
all
Mike Verlon needed to turn his head and cough during that tweet.
We're going all balls in. Hey, Chris Americo, I know we're getting up against the wall here. We're 1 minute left on our show, but this last story I wanted to bring up, the NBA denies threatening the Pelicans $100,000 fine per game because they were thinking about sitting Anthony Davis. Do you think that's the NBA thing, is trying to battle against all this tanking? Like, is the NBA trying to do something? I don't know, man. The tank is for real. That's what we're all going to do. We're going to continue to tank. The Knicks are going to tank. The Cavs are going to tank. And our Orlando Magic are going to continue to win. It's like taxes. It's inevitable.
Yeah, we had mentioned that the Pelicans shouldn't sit Anthony Davis, like New Orleans, season ticket holders. And obviously, they could have traded him, and they still would have been without Anthony Davis. But we're all paying money to see Anthony Davis play. The TV networks, the fans, the viewers at home, we're all paying for it one way or the other, and we want to see every single superstar that's healthy and available play, and he should be forced to play. You're under contract. Go out there and work. We got one more thing in, and maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll tease it. Memphis Spence, thank you for tuning in. Better streak, Harden's 31-game, 30-point streak, or Cal Ripken Jr.'s consecutive 2,632 games played?
I don't know. Let me think about that. Maybe tomorrow you'll find out which streak is better.
Ladbeard,
Stay tuned.
I expect every waking moment spent on this decision.
It's already got me all tied up here, man. I don't know what to do. This is a tough one. I'm getting anxious, getting nervous.